pitches, golf clubs, and also I suppose racing tracks and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm just going to give you an overview of what's involved and some of the key dates, and then we can have questions afterwards. Okay, so why are we doing it? It's to provide accurate tracking of sales throughout the supply chain. And I suppose this is a commitment to the EU Commission as well, to maintain our derogation. And if we don't have a full picture of what's going on within fertilizers within Ireland, then it's not a great look. So we need to include all professional users in this. So it'll give us a more realistic picture of what's going on with fertilizers in Ireland. And we are also going to look at sharing data with industry and farmers. So you can look at your own the fertilizer that's attributed to you on this system. So any data that's related to your ID number, you can go in and have a look at. And merchants or your suppliers uploading their data, they can view all that as well. Okay, so the timeline, I suppose this is one of the more important things. And I think golf clubs have quite a few of them have registered already. So registration opened on the 24th of July. The 1st of September is the date on which you need to supply your ID number to your supplier if you're buying after that date. They should also be registered. I got names of suppliers. Some of them are specialist suppliers to golf clubs, but I'm not sure if there's any other suppliers that you use out there. It's no harm to make them aware of the fact that they will need to be registered. And we still are waiting on some companies to come back in with their list of products so that we can add them to our catalog on the system. So that's the 1st of September. That's the legal deadline for people being registered. The 14th of September for yourselves to declare your closing stock on farm. So on site, I suppose, on your premises, whatever you're in control of. So you have until the 15th of October to do that. We're only really interested in products with N, P, and K. There are some other very specialist products with micronutrients and stuff that we're not, at this point anyway, we're not really getting into. That's really it in terms of the key dates for yourselves. There's other key dates for your suppliers in there. So they would have to declare their closing stocks on the 30th of September. They have until the 15th of October to do that. And then they need to upload all their data, all their sales data by the 15th of December. So everything from September, October, and November needs to be uploaded at that stage. Now you can do that weekly, monthly, daily, whatever you like. There are a couple of methods of doing it. I'll get into that afterwards, but that's for your suppliers. For yourselves, once you're registered and you have a unique ID number, all you have to do after that is enter your stock once a year. So there's no other interaction for you. All the sales to you should be recorded by your suppliers. So it's registration of all fertilizer economic operators. So that'll be your suppliers. They would be registering and assigned a unique identifier, and then all the fertilizer transactions will be submitted by them. They need their closing stock on a minute to midnight on the 30th of September. So as you can see, most of the onus is on the suppliers, the businesses supplying these products. So it's really about the physical movement of the product, and there may be a few unusual setups with yourselves where, you know, you might contract a supplier and they look after all your needs. They may be recording all of this. They can record closing stock. I don't want two lots of closing stock. Like if you have someone who looks after your supply of, say, chemicals and fertilizer, you just need to decide between yourselves that they declare their closing stock, and then you just declare a nil closing stock in that case. I don't want to count it twice, but there is a requirement that you go in, even if you have no stock, that you record a nil stock on the system so that we can see that you've interacted with it, and we're happy enough that everyone has declared either a nil stock or listed the products that they have on site. It's about the physical dispatch, because I'm not sure how it works for yourselves, but with farmers, they sometimes buy well ahead of time and then the delivery could be months later. We're only interested in the delivery, so the dispatch of the actual product. So this again is for your suppliers for the most part, but you need to be registered for them to be able to record that data of what they're sending to you. So what goes in is their unique identifier, the product ID from the catalog, and like I said, that catalog will be updated as we go along. Your unique identifier, and then the quantity in tons as to what's supplied, and the transaction type. There's also a facility to put in returns on this system as well. So the methods of getting the data in, again, this is for your supplier, is ag food. Ag food is what you'll use to declare your closing stock, and you will have to register through ag food. So you have an application that comes in, the application form that you received, you send that back into us. Then there's a further form once you're given your unique identifier that has to go back into SSO, the IT security side of things, and they'll give you access then to the ag food system. And then you'll be able to go in and register through that system. And then you'll have the facility to report or record your closing stock. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's a brief overview. And I suppose for yourselves, for the system, farmers are on ag food, so they can go in and tick the box to say they want to be registered. For yourselves, there's a bit more work in that there's the application form to be sent into us, there's the IT side of it, and then you go into ag food. But like I said, once you're set up, you have one interaction a year with this system, and that's it.
Okay, Finbar, thanks very much for that. Can I just clarify, I suppose, for my own sake and for everyone's sake that's on the call, one or two things in relation to it. Obviously, we've sent out the application form already, so just a step-by-step process to clarify it. We all have to send in the application form for an individual PU number, professional user number. So that has to be submitted by everybody. What you're telling us now is that we'll get another form sent out on foot of that, that has to be filled out for security or getting online in relation to accessing the ag food. So everybody will have to do that. And then from the information we've sent out and we got from yourselves, I'm of the understanding that on the 14th of September of this year, everybody has to record what stock they have on their premises. And then we have until the 14th of October to log into ag food and register what that stock was. I suppose just to clarify, am I right in saying all of that?
Yeah,
for everybody's.
Yeah, that's all correct. It's the 15th of October, though. We give you another day there rather than the 14th. But yeah, that's all you have to do. And like I said, it's the one interaction for fertilizer end users. It's just that stock once you're set up on the system. Like the registration is done, it's a once-off, and the IT security is a once-off, and you'll be given your username and password to get into the ag food system. And then it's literally once a year entering your stock.
Okay, and I suppose the other thing to mention too in the information that's gone out is that it's a legal requirement, I suppose, that everyone has the PU number from the 1st of September in order to buy fertilizer. Is that also correct?
Yeah, you should have that number to give to your supplier if you're buying fertilizer between from the 1st of September. If you're not, the easiest thing, and we've been saying it to everybody on these calls, is that everyone is registered before the 1st of September or as soon after that as possible, because it makes life easier for everybody if these numbers are in their systems early, and then there's no issues, because we have had some suppliers are saying to us that the way their systems are set up, it's kind of awkward to go back afterwards and add in these numbers, whereas if they have them from day one, there's not really an issue.
Okay, fair enough, Finbar. I'll open it to the floor there if anybody wants to come in and ask Finbar a question. I see Pat. Pat, you're wanting to ask a question. Fire ahead.
Yeah, I'm sitting here with Anne Courtney in Gulf Ireland headquarters. Just 2 points to make, just to reinforce what Finbar had said. it refers to NPK fertilizers. That's number one. So and it's inorganic fertilizers. And number two, it also refers to liquid fertilizers. So if you're using liquid NPK fertilizers, they must also be included. Now, there was a mention in the letter from the department about spreading fertilizer in September. We all know, those of us in this business know, that in golf, you may be putting on small amounts of fertilizer on greens, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in October or early November to get recovery from disease. And that's still acceptable. So there was a little reference to not spreading after September. I think we can leave that out. And number two, the organic fertilizers. We don't include organic fertilizers. So if you're putting on seaweed meal or something like that, that doesn't count in the returns as well. So it's just the NPK, the granulars, the controlled release, and the liquids. And that's what Finbar is looking for. Okay, would I be correct in saying that, Finbar?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And there's just a question in the chat there from David. Will this PU number be different? This is actually an FEU, a fertilizer end user number, or else fertilizer economic operator, an FEO number. So the PU number is a completely separate. It's a completely separate thing. So this will be a different number, and you'll get that once you fill out the application. We'll come back that day or the following day with the number for you. At least that's the way it's going at the moment. Unless we're inundated, it might take a couple of days.
Yeah, just a final point, Damien, and that is that you don't need to worry about whether the analysis is an Irish analysis or it's an EU analysis, which, as you know, is different. So there is a facility, Finbar, you were telling me, that you just put in the analysis on the bag and indicate whether it's an Irish analysis or an EU analysis, and the system can cope with that. Yeah, sorry, there's a template to fill out for suppliers, and like I said, I've sent it on to most of them at this stage. So that template includes the NPK. It also includes the different types of nitrogen, and it includes the oxides as well. So all the information will be there in the background on each of the products, because I suppose the basis for this initially is to do with emissions. Again, like I said, mainly from agriculture, but we just need to tidy up all the other areas that use it as well. There's a question as well, is the number the clubs or the operator? So I suppose the number is for the club, but then the access to ag food is a personal access. So that can be, whoever in the club is most relevant for that. And you can have you can have 2 people or 3 people in time. I think if you come back to us on that, that's just access to ag food. Some of the bigger companies could have 5 or 6 people accessing ag food, but in general for this, we're only getting one person, I presume, like head greenkeeper or something, or whoever's looking after it in the club. So the number refers to the club, and we'll get the information then on that club.
Okay, thanks, Finn. Does anybody else want to come in there with a question? All right. You're getting off light today, Finn, if no one else comes in.
Yeah, I think for, like I said, for farmers, it's the easiest, I suppose, to group. The other professional fertilizer end users like yourselves is the next easiest group. It's really the suppliers, the merchants, the co-ops that, they have a lot of work to do on this, because they're the ones collecting and uploading all the vast majority of the data.
Okay. I had a couple of questions that were actually emailed in to me prior to today. So I think you've answered 2 or 3 of them, or through the call we've answered a few of them anyway, but there's 1 or 2 here that have come in. I'll just read them out. Will there be any support from the departments around upskilling employees or training them in the appropriate calibration and application of fertilizers in relation to this?
No. No, not that I'm aware of. This is purely us tracking what's sold to end users. The use is, I suppose, even from a farmer's perspective, the use is under nitrates remit rather than ourselves. We're purely collecting numbers for emissions, really, I suppose, is more than anything else. So no, there's no plans to do anything like that.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine. From there, another one I've got in here as well is, are there any plans from the department to encourage organic-based fertilizers, and if so, will they be subsidized?
Not that I'm aware of, but again, that's not really our area. I'm sure anything that reduces emissions from fertilizers would be welcomed, but I'm not aware of anything in that sphere at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. That's all outside of, I think, the other questions that were sent in to me personally, I suppose, have all been answered at this stage. So outside of that, I have no more, unless someone else wants to come in. Fim or Pat, you're coming again.
So you have a form up on your site, Damien, that the people can download, fill in, and just email to the department, isn't that it?
Yeah, well, currently what we've done, Pat, is we've sent the form that we got out to everyone directly via email. But what we're going to do after today is we're going to put the webinar here up, and we'll have the form beside it as well.
Okay, so it's very simple and straightforward for people to fill in the form and get it into Finbar and his colleagues.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's great.
1st of September. Okay, folks, I think by the looks of it, that's it. So Finbar, as I said, thanks very much for your time today. As I said to everyone at the start, we will have the recording of this webinar up on the website as soon as possible, and I think Anne, you're going to do something similar for Golf Ireland. I'll send you on the link to it then. And we'll have the forums as well up there again, in case anyone didn't get it, via the email directly to them. So thanks a million, folks, for coming on board. Hopefully everybody found it informative, and I suppose the message is get registered if you can before the 1st of September with Finbar.
Okay, and yeah, thanks for engaging with us as well. There's just another question in the chat there. What about products sent to the UK? I'm not sure, is that coming from a supplier or where that's coming from? There is a facility to record exports as well on the ag food system, but there's not an API for that, so that would have to imports and exports are recorded in ag food separately, but that's a requirement of the legislation as well. But again, it's only the particular products, the NPK, and I suppose that's if you're manufacturing products, NPK products in Ireland, and you're sending them to the UK, we'd have, what your stock, I suppose, at the end of September as a supplier, and then if it would be useful for us to know, otherwise your numbers won't add up. If you've produced X amount and you've sold Y and there's something missing, so we would need the detail on what was sent to the UK on that, all right, or anywhere else for that matter. So there is imports and exports on the system as well.
Yeah, fair enough, folks. I think that's it for today. Listen, thanks a million everybody for coming on. I'm Finbar again. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
To help us with that today. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Cheers.
Good luck.